What up, sports fans and fellow foodies? I'm Julie, and welcome to my kitchen, where I talk sports and I share culinary treats each week. I promised you last week we were going to do something Halloween today, and so that's where we're going to start with things in sports that scare you. Now, there are the glib answers. For me, it's, as a Chicago baseball fan, anytime the Cubs or Sox manager makes that signal to the bullpen, terror, absolute terror. Other ones that kind of give me the shivers, when you hear the blank are on the clock, the Bears are on the clock, the Bulls are on the clock. When your team has a high draft pick, especially some of what we've seen in Chicago in the last decade, it gets a little scary. But then there are also the things that are legit scary in sports. When the cart comes on the field, when two outfielders collide, when you see something like the Joe Theismann injury that is just so grotesque that you have to turn away from it, and that videos on the internet don't even want to show you. There are players in baseball that get hit in the head, batters who are taken down by a pitcher who's throwing 100 miles an hour. Even facing Randy Johnson was probably scary back in the day. So you have a lot of things in sports that can be scary. A lot of them involve injuries. Maybe some of them are just kind of ho-hum, like your quarterback throws an interception in the final minute or two of the game. Hockey's a good one. A lot of scary stuff in hockey. For me, it's when a player's skate goes up, if a guy gets flipped and the skate goes up and it cuts the opposing player anywhere in the neck area. Terrifies me. And I don't want to see blood spurting all over the ice. It can be fatal. It has been fatal in hockey before, in professional sports. So things like that take it to a whole new level. Today we're going to keep things a little bit on the lighter side because we're going to do some Halloween-themed cupcakes. And as you know, desserts are my wheelhouse. So we're going to do a couple different fun designs and hopefully have a little adult beverage when we get to the end. It's a little funky. It's got some weird colors working in there, but we'll get to that once we finish our cupcakes. So here's where I'm going to start. I've got all yellow cupcakes today just because I was baking yellow cake yesterday, so that's what I went with. But we're going to start with some chocolate varieties. And the first one I'm going to do, you've seen me use the ganache before. It's just a fancy chocolate fudge, but you can use ice cream fudge. You can even use the canned frosting. Just got to make sure it's at least warm so that your cupcake is dippable. So I'm just going to swirl this in here a little bit, get us a nice chocolate topping, and then I'm going to take a glaze. This is just powdered sugar and water mixed to a certain thickness. I'm going to swirl it around like this, and then I'm going to take my toothpick. I'm just going to draw lines through it to the outside. And that is going to give us our spider web. And you can reverse it as well. You can do ones in between the outside lines that are going inside, but it's going to give you your spider web. And then I'm going to throw a gummy spider on it, just like that. You can find the gummy spiders anywhere in the grocery store around Halloween time. I've got another one that I dipped before we started. This time I'm going to use buttercream. I have a tip on here that looks serrated on one side and straight on the other. I'm going to just make some lines across my chocolate. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you just want to do this with a regular decorating bag, you can. So I got this guy here that's got a bunch of lines, just a bunch of strips. Doesn't have to be fancy because we are going to make him into a mummy. This is one of the best things I've found around Halloween. It is a bunch of edible eyeballs. Love these. You can do all sorts of stuff with them. We're going to use one in a minute, or two I should say, for another design. But I'm just going to pop these in the middle of our mummy here. And there's our spooky mummy cupcake. So add that to the patch over here. And we've got one other chocolate one we're going to work on. I've got a spider escaping. This one, we're going to do the same thing. You can use either the ganache, or I'm going to use chocolate frosting in a bag. Doesn't have to be fancy. Put your frosting on there. We're going to dip it in some Oreo crumbs so it looks like dirt. And I'm going to take one of these funky little monster hands and push that down in there. You've got a creepy monster coming out of your graveyard there. So there's our 3 that are topped in chocolate. Now we're gonna do one that's purple, because purple is my signature color as a Northwestern Wildcat. This is a tip called a grass tip. It's just a bunch of little holes. You're gonna squeeze and pull, and it's gonna make monster hair. You can use this if you're doing cupcakes, you know, to make dog fur. Like I said, it's called a grass tip, obviously. So if you're doing like a football field, you do this in green, or baseball field. I'm doing mine in purple here. I'm gonna make a spooky little monster. And all I need to do with him is throw some more eyeballs on here. Like I said, big fan of the candy eyeballs. And then this guy is just gonna look like crazy creepy dude, or kind of like a Muppet. So we got our purple monster, we've got all our chocolate ones over here, and that leads us to our white iced ones. With these, we're gonna do 2 different things, as long as I'm talking about eyeballs. So this is the one where I had that tip for making the mummy. Just gonna take that off. You do not need it. You can just kind of do a little swirl of white. And then we're gonna make this look kind of like a creepy eyeball. So what I'm gonna do, I have a couple options here. I have a red sparkle gel. I also have a spray you can find that actually says bloody candy spray. This one's a little watery. I want something that's a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna go ahead and just squeeze some lines of this coming out of my center. Does not have to be fancy, does not have to be precise, just so you get those lines. And again, my little friends, the toothpicks here, you can make like a couple more little squiggles, because you want it to look kind of bloodshot and creepy, which is kind of how I look when I run on like 2 or 3 hours of sleep on a regular basis. So now I've got that working. This time I'm gonna go to some big gummy eyeballs. I've got them in red and in green. We're just gonna throw that in the center, and it looks like that. You could use these guys as well, but I like those gummy ones. You can also do, as long as I have that out, you can also do one, instead of being bloodshot, that's just gonna be bloody. Same thing, gonna use my sparkle gel here. Maybe gonna get a little more goopy, because I am going to put a candy knife in here, just like that. So now we're gonna switch to our last one, and this one might be my favorite. This one you can do with all sorts of varieties of cake, but we're gonna do cupcakes today because that's what we're working with. Move some of my bags out of the way here, and we're back to just single cupcake and white buttercream. But this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna take them out of the wrapper, and we're gonna flip them. So you've got your inverted white cupcake that looks like this. I'm gonna put just a little bit of buttercream on it, just for sticky reasons. And then what I've got here is I rolled out white fondant. You can find this in the grocery store now, but typically craft stores have it, Walmart has it. And here's my cool little trick. I learned this like 20 years ago in cooking school. This is just like a little water pipe you find at Menards, Home Depot. But I had a cake decorating instructor that told us to pick one of these up, and it would be a little rolling pin for rolling fondant 20 years ago, and I'm still doing the same thing. I have tons of rolling pins for rolling cookies and such, but this is kind of my go-to when I'm doing fondant work on weekends. So anyway, I've got one rolled out here. I'm just gonna make sure it is kind of thin. You can pull at it a little bit. I'm going to use a circle cookie cutter. And if you don't have a circle cookie cutter, you can use a drinking glass. Just make sure the edge is a little sharp, little finished on the edge. Here's one I did earlier. This one's a little bit thicker. You're gonna take this, give it a little bit of a pull, just so it's not exactly a circle, and so it gives you a little extra coverage. You're gonna slip this right over our inverted cupcake, just like that, and I have a ghost. So, I know, he's so spooky, right? I'm gonna take an edible marker. Again, you can find them anywhere you're looking at the fondant. I'm gonna make a couple little eyeballs in here, just like that. You can make him happy, you can make him scary. I'm gonna do this one a happy ghost, just like that. And you could use the little candy eyeballs for this as well, but this one I just think is fun because I love the edible markers on fondant. So you got something like that working. So that is our Halloween cupcake variety for this week. Hopefully you weren't too spooked out by all my little designs there. And there's always plenty of scary things in sports, especially here in Chicago. Don't get too freaked out. There's always good stuff right around the corner. And Christmas is coming. It's like 2 months away. That's all we've got for this week. I am going to take a sip of my crazy adult beverage here. It's like when you're at a frat party or something, you just start pouring stuff in because it looks interesting. I was going for like blues and purples, so I just added a bunch of stuff in here. Might be a little scary in and of itself, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm Julie. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Not bad.